Let's have a look at Qt framework first. Qt is a complex development framework containing an integrated development environment and a tool chain to do the compilation and build process, and also a massive set of Qt classes covering all the functions one can imagine in programming. Qt is often referred as free development environment, but it actually has a dual nature. There is a free version of Qt which is under GPL, and as such it is freely accessible and also freely usable. But there is another version of Qt, which is the proprietary version, maintained by a company called Eger, and Eger's finance model is to give support and some proprietary libraries supporting to the Qt framework to make the work a little bit more sophisticated and easier. Now, if you want to choose the GPL version, you are free to choose, and you can use it without any limitation apart from the limitations of GPL, which means whatever you do, it's under the same principle, so it will be GPL with a few exceptions. Whereas if you buy the licenses from Eger, you can create proprietary softwares with your framework. But at this stage we shall start with the GPL version, so start the download here on this page, and the first question, tick the box open source distribution under LGPL or GPL license, and from now on just choose yes if you are prepared to accept the GPL as a license. Now at this stage you can start with the download, but please do not push the button here, because what you get here is probably the best version what the system thinks on your platform could be. But as a matter of fact, you can get a lot wider and a lot better specification list if you go one step ahead and you click on the view all downloads on the first page. Here you will get a complete list of all the configurations of Qt frameworks prepared for your download. If, for example, you have a Windows host, you can choose one for Android and you can choose one for Windows mobile development. With a little bit more advanced knowledge about Qt, you can also build your own configuration. But at this stage I recommend to download one of these platforms here. Once you finish the download, double click on the package on the installer, and you will probably asked if you want to start Qt Creator, which you do, and you will get the starting page, which is Qt Creator, the integrated development environment of Qt frame. Qt Creator is a very sophisticated and very versatile integrated development environment. It looks very simple, but at the same time it is very logical and very efficient. Let's start with the green button here in the corner, which is the welcome screen. This is probably the first screen you will see. Here you can start new projects, but before we enter this, let's have another look on these buttons here. There is another button here, examples. If you click on it, you will get a multitude of examples, very, very complex, shiny, beautiful examples of all sorts of Qt applications. So I really encourage you to download these examples and first just test them, play with them. Then later you can peep into the code and you can see how to use Qt classes. The second or the last in the queue is tutorials, which is a few dozens of very, very good online tutorials about the latest version of Qt. Let's return back to projects now. Start a new project, and because we start with just plain C++ at the first stage, choose non-Qt project, plain C++ application, and choose. Give it a name, call it my test. In the bottom field you can choose the working directory, and if you click the box it will be the default destination. Next, don't want to change it. Here you will be offered the platforms on which you can have the build. Uncheck Android for just a moment, and let's have only the Qt desktop and finish the creation of the example, the first project now. What we get here is a source file, a main function, a main module of a C++ program. It's a console application. It's not the sophisticated UI user interface application of Qt, but at the moment we shall deal with it. The first button we've seen, welcome. The second button, edit, will bring up this setup, this configuration of Windows, where you have the projects pane and the open documents pane. You can close them with this small icon here. Then the next button here, the next icon here is design. It's a form designer. It is not usable. It grayed out now because it's not a Qt UI application. Next one is debug. Quite apparently it's a runtime debugger with a simulator, but it can also be used with for example, a JTAG debugger device. Projects is the way to create or choose new platforms. We uncheck Android. This is the place where we can switch it back. So if we need Android, we change our mind and we need Android later, we can add a new kit. Kit is the term of platforms in Qt. Now we have two kits, one Android and one desktop, and down with debug, with this button here, we can always choose easily between the we can specify which one, the very build we want to execute it with. Next one is run. It will build and run the program. If the actual platform is the desktop, then it will run on the desktop. If the present platform is a mobile device, then it will be downloaded and run on the mobile device. Next one is run and debug, and the last one is build without running it, without running the project. In the bottom line we have some further very useful features. The first one is a very fast object search facility. With a list, you can narrow the search to specific files or specific objects. The next one, issues, is the list of error messages. Next one, search results, is a complex search facility. It can search in project, in files, and with quite a few options. Application output is the standard output of the programs. So whenever you print out to the standard output, the standard console, it will be printed here. Compile output is the output of the compiler engine. The compiler engine is a separate entity from Qt Creator. Qt Creator is only an IDE, but it doesn't do the build or the compilation itself. It needs a compiler in the background. In this case, the compiler, as you can see, the G++ Unix or Linux compiler, but on Windows platforms it can as well as it can be for example a Microsoft Visual Studio C++ compiler. So that's the compile output. You can switch any of the windows, any of the panes in and out, with this I think we could get quite a good brief overview of what Qt Creator is. So let's go on with writing some programs.